And you've been involved with the Conservative Party for almost over 15 years now.
For my sins, 15 years.
So tell me, what do you do there that you like it so much?
What do I do there? So I suppose I got involved, I think I first purchased my membership when I was 16 years old. This is always quite an embarrassing thing to admit. And then I think for about 10 years I was a member, but not particularly active. And then I think when I got to around 26, I got involved in my local association, became, went up the ladder, as it were, and then became chairman of Westminster North. I was the youngest chairman, I think, in the country, youngest association chairman in the country. And now, after boundary changes, my new association is called Queen's Park and Maida Vale, which, whilst lovely, doesn't have the ring to it. But so I've been chairman of that now for I think now 18 months. So plenty of time to go.
And purchasing membership of the Conservative Party is only allowed since 16, right?
I believe so. Although I don't know the full details. I mean, this was good. Yeah, I mean, I became a member. Must have been 2010, 2009. So it's so long ago. I mean, I don't know what's changed now. I mean, I know there was obviously youth membership, and
I know many people who are young.
Yes,
a lot of people who are young come into the conferences. And I think it is still young, although it is still hard to establish yourself in the party when being young, although it could have been harder back then, right?
Yes, I mean, ultimately, I probably was a member. I wasn't particularly active. I mean, to be brutally fair, I spent most of my time at university sort of heavily drinking and enjoying myself rather than being particularly involved in things like that. But I was still a member, and I've been a member for a very long time. And I would say I became increasingly active when I sort of hit about 25. And that's when I became active.
So you've waited quite a bit.
Yes, I mean, I've had a bit of quote normal life. I've interests outside politics. I've been in the wine trade for 11 years. I'm a member of the Army Reserves for now 4 years. So I've done lots of stuff, as opposed to there's quite a few people I know in politics who seem to have only done politics for their entire life.
Yes, and that's very helpful that you've done a lot of stuff, since I think there are too many people now aiming to go into politics, and it kind of becomes confusing because you don't really know. They're all the same in a way. They're all just care about taxes and immigration, and it's all just the same kind of people.
I would actually argue they actually more care purely about their own career. I mean, the problem is when...
Fair enough, that's another good point.
Yeah, well, the problem is when your life is politics, you have nothing to fall back on should something go wrong. Mm-hmm. And let's be honest, in politics, everything goes wrong all the time. And, I know people that were former MPs and became MPs really, really young, sort of 30 years old. Now, they have lost their seats. They are ex-MPs at 35. Your life is over. Their life is over.
You can probably get involved in some sense with the party, but that's not the work you want to be doing.
Absolutely. And the thing is, when they are trying to then go into the private sector, what do they have to offer? Nothing is more ex than an ex-MP. And all these people need to understand that going to politics really early, super early, and trying to, wanting to be an MP at 25 or whatever, you have nothing, really in reality, have nothing to offer. You went to uni, you might have done PPE Oxford or something like that, whatever. The classic,
oh wow, what a course.
Everybody gets excited. This nation is held hostage by PPE graduates. It is so much that has gone wrong is down to that sodding degree. But yeah, so you have the situation where you have people who have often, you've groupthink, people who have been to the same system, so often same education, same schooling, same university, same degree, same course, and then they become a political advisor, or in the Labour Party case.
That's very common. Yeah.
It's very common. In the Labour Party's case,
I've done that, to be honest.
I'm
19, I've done that.
Yeah, and nothing. We need people like that, but there needs to be a sort of dissociation between people who want to work in politics and do the campaigns and do the administration and all that stuff. And then there's the public face. And those people need to have some experience other than, oh, I did PPE. Oh, I advised X so-and-so. what do they have to offer? They are wasting our time. They are literally wasting all of our time because they are offering just themselves, their career, and nothing unique, nothing interesting. So, I mean, I feel very strongly about this because we have only 650 MPs. There's a very few, it's a finite amount, and each one should offer something special. We value diversity of diversity of skin color, diversity of cultures, but we don't value diversity of opinion and background in this country. Much rather have a House of Commons full of people who are former nurses, former doctors, former members of the armed forces, former business and trade unions, than it's 50% women. Way.
Yeah, well, that tells you nothing. That doesn't tell you anything about equality, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, we have some organizations, the Conservative Party, they would honestly rather essentially 50, the House of Commons is full of either 50% Hugos from Eton or 50% Harriets from St. Paul's, rather than exactly perfect, demographically, rather than a situation where you have a big variety of people with different backgrounds. And that is so important. I always can't stress how important that is. You need that diversity of background for that diversity of opinion, because all these people, that come from that same sort of swab that we think about, they think the same, and they're broadly in it for their own careers. And politics needs to be a vocation. We are in big danger in this country. We need people with conviction and above all leadership. Really lacking leadership, and I always find it so strange actually, because leadership seems to be something that seems to be so common in my mind anyway. It seems it's about bringing people with you and having an opinion. It doesn't always have to be. You can admit if you're if you're wrong, or if you make a mistake, but bring people with you, lead.
And look, people keep telling me that the conservatives are always biased towards one skin color or the other. Look, there is a conservative and absolutely amazing leader, black leader, Maida right now in the party. And nobody, literally, I've heard nobody complaining about her because she's, that or that, because she's a woman or something like that. That's ridiculous.
Honestly, the Conservative Party, certain members do not give a flying hoo-ha about skin color. I cannot think of a group of people who care.
And especially now, there are so many issues to handle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just the people who are obsessed by skin color are the left and the Labour Party. Obsessed, and yet we have a wonderful situation. It's a good joke I heard, which is the Labour Party have had more Knights of the Realm than they have had women as leaders of their party. I mean, it's a complete joke, and that's because they're just run by sort of pretentious Islington liberals who are desperately concerned about other people's skin color. We just don't care in the Conservative Party, and I think people are always shocked by that. Everything we do, couldn't care less.
And on your point about the youth in general, youth in politics, I do agree in a way, but at the same time, I can say that from what I've seen in the Conservative Party, especially in London, the Conservative Party is lacking youth. It's weird to say, but especially in London, the Conservative Party is seriously lacking youth.
Well, I mean, without being overtly rude here, I mean, can you blame them? I mean, I'm probably, I can no longer define myself as youthful now that I've hit the age of over 30. But the Conservative Party of the past 14 years deliberately presided over a horrific policy regarding housing. We essentially, particularly George Osborne, he overinflated essentially the money supply, quantitative easing, massively increased assets. The fundamental fact is, you are only going to become a capitalist or a conservative if you've got something to conserve. If you've got no capital, why the hell should you be a capitalist? And if you've got no house, why on earth would you vote to keep the system the way it is? I am just in the hopeful process of potentially buying my flat. I'm a 30-year-old who makes a relatively good income. This should not be difficult, but it is impossible in London to buy a flat, particularly for single. And my heart goes out to young people who are on either the minimum wage or the average wage. They have no hope at the moment. And we've done the worst thing of, we have had a situation of mass migration and poor house building combined with quantitative easing. I mean, you literally, it's almost like there's a fairy. It's like, how can we make the situation terrible? And that's how we did it. And this is also one of the big problems, which is, frankly, if you're George Osborne, you've had everything given to you. You've had your own house. You've had your own money given to you. You barely had to work for anything, really, apart from your own political career. So why on earth would you have a single clue about what it takes to get on the housing ladder? These people don't have a clue. And to be fair, I almost don't blame them, because, I think it's very easy it's very easy sometimes, if you've had everything, to not empathize or to not understand. It's not their fault, but it's really important in politics to empathize and to understand. And I'm personally actually amazed that the youth of this country are so well behaved. I mean, it's quite clear with each generation that actually things are getting worse, and that my prospects are slightly better than your prospects are going to be, and it's just going to keep going down like that.
Very nice to hear.
For somebody most kind of good news, an oracle of good news. But this is statistically bears out in all the statistics, and this is blindingly obvious, and it's really sad. And it was so obvious at the time. I remember I was at university and thinking every single time of BBC News when there was a thing of house prices go up again, and everyone, people own houses sort of clap and go, "Oh yes, I feel richer now." But what they don't understand is that it's all relative. So they can only release that asset once they sell, and these people are unlikely to move from Richmond to Arbroath in Scotland. They're likely to move sort of 5-10 mile distance when they've just sold their house, meaning that house has also gone up the same amount. So all that we're doing is giving this false illusion that homeowners are getting richer to compensate for the fact that wages have been suppressed for God knows how many years. But it's fine because my 3-bedroom semi has gone up by 100 grand. Well, hey, but in reality, that is completely pointless. So, it's go back to what you're talking about. It's no wonder that young people aren't interested in the Conservative Party. My general advice to them, however, as a semi-young person, is no longer, but no. Well, let's not go too fast. I have a very youthful demeanor. Is to get involved. There's a reason why the Conservative Party, as it were, is a bit focused essentially on people above 65 to 85. It's our core vote, it's our demographic, because they're often, they're the people that vote for us. And you need to get involved if you're young, get involved in the Conservative Party. I would actually say, every time I've been to conference, and I don't know if you've been to Conservative Party conference.
I have, yeah.
I personally think the Conservative Party just seems to be 3 groups of people, which is very, I would say, quite young people, and minorities and a few old people. I mean, I think conference is pretty diverse, to be fair, compared to. I mean, if you want to have some real fun, look at some videos from the Conservative Party in 1999. My God, seal white hair, and I mean, it makes you like your WI conference. I mean, it's changed massively.